You know, I know it was like that that love initially, but like what kind of really kind of like sparked you to really kind of like you said, take those classes and really, you know, take it more serious?
Me in the field of mass communications, working in live TV, eventually wanted to just do live graphics, but that, of course, took its own course, you know, working in TV production. But I was already wanting to enhance what I was learning. And so at the time, the best course was take a piano class and learn, you know, some theory. But I remember Mr. Mathis was an elder professor, and he said, "You got everything." My grade for the whole class was based on make up something at the end of the semester. And that was what I did all the time, just make up music. And so he just gave me an A, and I was like, I didn't learn nothing. He said, "No, you got it. You have everything you need. You can create music. And you just keep developing what you're doing," is what he told me. But the real spark to have to play music was when I heard reggae music. And it was just the mechanisms of how to play it, but also the messages, you know, and that connected with me just pretty much as what we say Black American, but learning about there's other diasporas of people that had a similar experience to us. And from age 13, I wanted to know everything about, you know, these people, the music, the stories I felt were my stories, because they were singing about our history, even though they're not in America per se. The songs like Buffalo Soldier, that's our history, you know. Other aspects of struggles and progress of African people globally. So there was a sense of being connected to something, you know, bigger than just what was around me. You know, most of my peers was listening to Prince, and of course we all love Michael Jackson, you know, James Brown, but I was also listening to groups like Steel Pulse, Third World, Burning Spear, and of course Marley. Marley wasn't even the first one, but it was just that message and that vibrancy, because it was at the time a new genre. You know, the bass lines was different, the rhythms were different, and every once in a while you hear it on the radio, like when Musical Youth came out with Pasta Dutchie. You know, who's heard that? You know, that kind of thing, you know? And so I was captured by that music, and it fused with my environment. You know, listening to R&B, listening to, you know, we used to just call it soul, early hip hop, early rap, the British invasion music, like Thompson Twins, all the music coming in from England. And so that's pretty much what kind of was in my soup when I started, all those little sounds just mixing up together. But reggae was very much a big ingredient, you know. And I learned music production, taught myself music production, and just went.
What was like the first instrument that you gravitated toward?
Bass. Bass was my first thing. There's this song by Diana Ross. It's My House. I love that bass line, you know, just that whole song. I have to give a big shout out to Ashford Simpson, because she was an arranger, a writer with Nicholas, and I think she produced that. But that song pulled me into just wanting to learn to play bass, even before I was hearing, you know, real reggae music. And but I was doing all this on a guitar, so I didn't really take what I was doing serious. But you know, the first 4 strings of an acoustic or electric guitar is identical to a bass. And I knew that, but I didn't think at the age 14 I was properly learning, but I was learning to play bass. So from that, progressed to chords, you know, and it's like once you get those basic pieces and your mind is behind it, you can pretty much create forever. And that was how that. And that was very exciting for me to, at the time recording on boom boxes and producing records, rewind, hit play, and then you hear your idea come back at you. Even though it's a rough recording, that was addictive. And I said, man, I'm gonna always do this. Even if I never make a penny, I'm gonna always do this. And it just progressed from there. Now getting to Macon being the music town that it is, you can't just be silent. Once people know you're a musician, they're gonna pull you out. The environment pulls you out, and you connect a different way because it's a musical stew. I think my professional gig period started when Chuck, he's the owner of a venue called Jazzplex, went by to just give him a holler. I was planning on booking a band out of Atlanta. This particular day, he said, "You're coming with me." And I said, "Where are we going?" So he just literally grabbed me by the arm, pulled me through the alley by the Rookery, walks me back to the place that is now the Ninja. But I'm walking in, I see Caribbean Spice. This is 2004. And he introduced me to two ladies. Rosalie is from Trinidad. Novelette is from Jamaica. And he says, "Here's your band." I didn't know if I was going to get kidnapped. I didn't know where I was going. But they looked at me, the first thing out of their mouth is, "You want to do a contract?" And I said, I never thought about that. I said, "No, I don't want to do a contract. I'll just play your grand opening." Long story short, I was afraid of contracts. Just growing up hearing horror stories about the music industry, and contracts is like the worst thing. You get locked into stuff, and you have to really be, careful. But they were serious, and they said, "Okay, no problem." And we discussed the rate twice a week. It ended up being 2 times a week, and that was like my first. All of a sudden, I'm just playing every week, and then just the music expanded from recording and singing over tracks, which up to that point I just did showcases, the 20-minute thing at the Douglas or in Fort Valley or so wherever we were, to actually rolling it back now because you got 3 hours. And this group of people left, you're going to roll back that 20-minute set. So then we started to add more songs, more tracks, 45-minute, roll it back, play it again. But then I said, this is boring. Let me start playing live. So that was when the real guitar stuff started to come in. And, had friends that played with us, Kariba, Afia, Detroit, Reggie, just the people that were around me at the time. And it grew sort of to gel into something we would call the band. Sometimes I'll be by myself, and it just went from there. But over the years, being in this environment, connected with other communities, people hear your music becomes your agent. And I never really had to chase a gig. People just come and book, for whatever, festivals, independent concerts, to open for somebody, private parties, birthday parties. And that's where the real musician experience started to just learning how to be an independent artist, how to negotiate gigs, and also just the grittiness that comes from doing live shows. You become better, at everything you do. And, I have to say Macon is a really crazy great, because at the same time I'm meeting all the classic musicians from the earlier days. They're still here. And, just getting to know people like that. And so the flavor of our reggae music, the sounds that I was doing in the studio is different. We can say reggae, but it don't sound like nobody else's approach. So when we go out to places like Atlanta, Colorado, or the shows down in Florida, it hits like it's brand new. So that was a sound that I started to just call it Dubshak. People gave me that name from just hearing it. It's kind of a rough, rustic sound, but deeply musical. Kind of like what you call a lo-fi but high spirit recording studio, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
There's some long answers. Those are some long. I appreciate you. Got to give you a shout out, 478 TV. I appreciate you just giving me the platform, just to talk about music and